After 10 years, LEGO once again released a nearly 60 centimeters long, 1949 pieces Star Wars UCS X-Wing Starfighter, number 75355. It begins on sale from May 4th, the Star Wars Day. Today we are going to take a close look at this set and compare it to the 10240 from 10 years ago. They are similar in terms of size and look. Let's see what's the difference between these two best-looking vehicles from Star Wars. Let's check out the packaging first. The design is fairly simple, the usual dark background color for 18+ set. At the left bottom there's info like set number, parts number, and target age. At the back there's a pic of the set from another angle, as well as the measurements and some other details of this set. Inside the box, there are 18 bags, 10 large steps in total. The manual is packed in a white envelope. It's about 1 centimeter thick. The first 11 pages introduce the X-Wing, stories of Star Wars films, designers' thoughts, and how you can play with this set. In total there are 562 steps, averaging 3.5 pieces used in each step. There's also a small sticker sheet. Before we begin the build, let's check out the new parts and minifigures. There are 3 new parts released with this set. This one is number 3535, a 3x3 unit wall element. There are 16 of them in these set to build the shell of the engine's intake. The other 2 are number 3544 and number 3545, a pair of 3x8 unit wing plates. There are 6 pairs of them for the flaps on the wings. The new minifigures includes a new Luke Skywalker, unique to this set. And there's AR2D2 with fully printed parts. Now let's begin the build, especially we are going to take a look at the wings. Let's check out the functional structure of the wings. First, a few of the 2x2 unit pillars have been used to build the axle, and the bricks with pinholes are the nails of the wings. They formed the X shape around the axle. Then there are 2 rubber bands to make the wings slap into position automatically. And there's a lever that moves with the knob at the top. When rotating, the 2 number 6628 ball joints will be pushed to expand the wings. If you rotate it further, it stops pushing the ball joints and send the wings back into the closed position. That's how the movement cycles. A fairly simple design that achieves such clever function. As we can see here, the panels at the rear of the fighter are connected via hinges on number 3937 and number 6134, in order to create the hexagon shape. In the middle, the slop angle is also created using hinges. Finally we put these large modules together, then the X-Wing is finished. It took us around 6 hours. For the building experience, due to the great overall design and coloring for the parts, it's smooth and comfortable. The only issue is that the 4 wings are the same. You can challenge yourself to build the last 3 wings without checking the manual to make that part less boring. Now let's compare the discontinued 10240 X-Wing which released in 2013 to the new one. For the basics, parts number, 1559 pieces versus 1949 pieces. Length, 53 centimeters versus 57 centimeters. Weight, 1.47 kilograms versus 1.73 kilograms. MSRP, $199 versus $239. So in general, the new 75355 is about 20% large than the old one in every way. But if you factor in the inflation, you are paying less for more. As for the overall proportions of them, we shall compare with the original X-Wing. We can see that both of them did a good job of replicating the stiletto shape of the fighter's body. But the 75355 is wider, especially the nose. 10240's nose is only 5 units wide but 75355 is 8 units wide. The hexagon-shaped profile is well presented on the 75355, but not on the old 10240. Let's see the 4 engines. Even though there are new parts in the 75355, the front section of the engine still seems too large. But on the 10240 they look too small. As for the wings, they both look pretty good but the 75355 is better shaped because of new parts. For the details, there are 3 major differences between them. On the nose, 75355 did a good job of replicating the concave on the original X-Wing, but on the 10240 it looked more abstract. The curves look better though. At the rear of the fighter, there are a lot of details, both showing a lot of them. But the obvious difference is that this part on the 10240 this section not higher than the top surface of the fighter, because it's been lowered. Meanwhile, the head of our 2D2 is above the surface, same as the original. On the 75355, these details at the rear aren't lowered, and the head of our 2D2 is lower than the surface. Finally, the engine. The 75355 more precisely replicated the intake, as well as the 4 thrusters. On the original X-Wing, the intakes don't line up with the thrusters. The 75355 got it correct, but on 10240, it failed to replicate that. As for other details, you can compare the two through the previous shots. Function-wise, both fighters have movable wings. The difference is that the button to move the wings on 10240 is at the rear, but on 75355, it's on the top. They also function very differently. Because of the worm gears, wings on 10240 can be moved to any angle. But on 75355 you can only fully expand it. As for the functional hatches and the movable R2-D2, they work the same way on both X-Wings. Both X-Wing can be easily removed from the mounts, but the mount of 10240 allows you to adjust the fighter to a level angle. As for the mount of 75355, the angle is fixed. However, the two mounts are compatible for both set, so you can put the new 75355 on an old mount. Overall, the 75355 is quite different from the 10-year-old one in terms of general design. The old one from 10 years ago focused more on accurately presenting the proportions of the X-Wing, but details aren't carefully handled. To achieve that, it even gave up to replicate the engine properly, as well as the hexagon profile. As for the new one, it pays more attention to the details. To accurately present the front nose, the hexagon profile, details on the engine intake, correctly line up the thrusters, it sacrificed a bit on the overall proportion. Even new parts are made to get the details on the intake and wings correct. So for these two sets that are 10 years apart, which one do you prefer? Please let us know in the comments.